Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, hey everybody, Happy New Year 2025. And I can't believe that I'm starting yet another year here at Giga Texas. And it's been an amazing 5 years now that I've been here covering the factory and showing you the changes from when this used to be just a sand and gravel mine to now a world-class factory that is continuing to expand. And this year we're looking forward to an amazing year of changes and new products, and just kind of a momentous year for Tesla, not just Giga Texas, but for the entire company. Now, a few things that we're going to be looking forward to this year and right here at Giga Texas is sometime in the first half of the year, we're going to see the brand new Model Y refresh, and that'll be built here in the factory along with the Cybertrucks. And also, it's very possible we're going to be seeing at least another one, if not two, new vehicles based on the Model 3 and Model Y also coming out of this factory at some point in the first half of the year. In addition to that, as I've showed you all throughout last year, there's been a lot of changes on the inside of the factory with expanding some of the floors, the mezzanines, and also preparing for expanded production. In addition to that, we've been seeing a lot of materials being delivered to support the production facilities and lines, most likely for the Cybercab. And I'm expecting that production to begin sometime in the second half of 2025. Now, recently Elon Musk talked about the Cybercab and the expectations that he and Tesla has for them to be in a high ramp stage, in other words, a high production of up to 2 million Cybercabs sometime in 2026. And to be able to do that, we're going to have to see production here in 2025. And like I said, I expect that to be in the second half of the year. Now, in addition to that, Cortex supercomputer cluster on the south end extension is going to grow even larger. At the end of last year, there's about 50,000 or so of the NVIDIA H100 GPUs installed, and they were being operational and testing out for the FSD, and possibly even doing some of the testing for the Optimus robot. This year we expect that to more than double, and in addition to increasing its compute capability, also the energy requirements are going to skyrocket, going from about 150 megawatts at the end of last year and all the way up to around 500 megawatts by the end of this year. So that's going to be really important to see. In addition to that, the electrical switchyard and the upgrades that are going on here at the site to be able to support that incredible energy requirement for that the Cortex supercomputer cluster. Expect to see some more finishing up of the West Support Facility. Of course, the outbound lot will grow even larger, partly because it needs to accommodate all of the new vehicles that are going to be built here and the added production. And in addition to that, of course, the Cybertunnel for the Cybertrucks will be operational. We'll see Cybertrucks coming through that tunnel and over to the outbound lot. And from what I'm hearing, we may actually start seeing a second tunnel being prepared a little bit farther to the north of where we see the Cybertunnel right now, and we'll be looking for that as well. Of course, at the casting machine structure, the baghouse filtration plant and the melt plant should be finished very soon, probably within the first quarter of 2025, and that will help with the manufacturing of the castings and also that production capability of all of the various castings that are going to be needed to support the Cybertruck and the other vehicles that are going to be produced this year. There's a lot more that we'll be looking forward to in 2025, but I think for now that's a great kind of a recap of what to expect. So why don't we get into the drone, let's fly around, see what Giga Texas looks like on this brand new year. As always, thank you very much for your support and for watching along. So let's see what 2025 has in store.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, Happy New Year, and this is my first flight of the year at Giga Texas, and I hope you had a great New Year's Eve and celebration. Today we see low clouds, some mist, and there was fog earlier to let it clear, so I had to fly a little bit later. But there is a lot of great things to see today. So we're going to start here on the north end, just over where all of the castings are stored on this material handling and sorting lot. And looks like they're going to have to be gearing up more of the castings here very soon. However, they have been making a lot of production of vehicles, and we're going to see that later in the video. So it seems like they are at a pretty fast pace right now. And you can see that forklift moving some of the rack mounts for the castings and some other ones here in the foreground center of the screen and also on the ground. Now, just past these rack mounts, we see more of the work going on for the underground conduit and cables, and they got most of that in that red fenced off section. Of course, that goes up to the roof and will connect to the Cortex supercomputer cluster later on this year when it's all completed. Now, on the east side of casting, take a look at the melt plant and some of the equipment that is kind of being situated here on the outside. One of those items, the very large red truck just past that yellow kind of bulldozer, that is part of the machinery that is used to move the furnace loading apparatus that you see at the upper right that's being installed. And that machine is also looks like it has a adapter on it, and it's like a screed, and that helps to maneuver the molten aluminum in the furnace as well. So this is what that all looks like, and it is definitely coming along here on the east side of casting. The baghouse filtration plant is getting some additional equipment on the ground installed. And as I come up in a higher altitude, this gives you a really nice look at the top structure and how it is looking right now with most of the assembly completed. I mentioned the cables on the roof. This is some more of it that is laid out, getting ready for connections. And they've had this here for a couple of weeks now, getting ready for doing that connection through the drop-down links in the middle part of the roof, and then as you can see, the conduit going along the parapet wall all the way to the south. As I pull away, a nice view of the melt plant and also the baghouse filtration plant, more of the castings on the ground, some additional work near those towers on the ground, and as I pan the drone along the east side to the south, this is a good view of some of the activity that is going on here on the east side of the factory. In the old testing and calibration lot, we're starting to see more of the Cybertrucks accumulating. And this is just some of many of the Cybertrucks that we're going to see here today, especially over on the west side. I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, continue to fly to the south, and look at the multi-level parking garage. Still not a lot of activity other than maybe some testing on the top floor. And I've heard some people say that they think that there is some testing going on the second floor, the one just underneath the roof, and of course on that east side where the privacy fence is as well on the ground. And we can see more of that conduit along the parapet wall just at the bottom of the screen that comes from the top, the northeast side, all the way down here and then over to the supercomputer cluster. The cooling plant is operational today. It looks like 2 of the 6 fans are in operation at the moment. Of course, we could see some of that vapor coming up out of those fan units. And the white stain on the exterior wall looks like it is completed, and crews should be getting ready to wrap around on the east side for the glass installation very soon. So I'm going to pull away. We'll reposition the drone and fly along the far east side just to get a good sense of what Giga Texas looks like here on this first flight day of the new year. And it'll give us a great reference point for next year this time to see what all has changed. So I'm going to pan the drone to the north. We'll fly along the east side. So a lot of this that we see on this east side is obviously temporary. It's either materials or equipment, vehicles, some of the workshops and office trailers. And of course, all of this will eventually leave the site. And as we look back at the factory, we get a really good appreciation for not only how far away from the factory it is, but just how large this site is. Now, at some point, Tesla will be able to use all of this land for new construction projects, and I am very much looking forward to see what they're going to be using all of this land for once the contractors and the equipment can be moved away. Now, one of the things that I am looking for is a new welcome and activity center that is supposed to be going in somewhere on this side of the site. Perhaps we'll see some of that construction beginning this year. Now, as we continue to fly towards the battery cathode plant, I did notice next to this kind of blue and white equipment that we've been watching for a while that there are new deliveries of those crates. And not sure what this equipment is, but it suggests that we're going to be seeing that installed here sometime early this year. Of course, the crash testing facility continues to be busy, and they are doing a lot of testing here. We do know that there's a lot of new products that will be coming out this year. A lot of that is going to need crash testing, so I suspect that that is being done on the inside. You can see that rotisserie next to the north end opening. And of course, that structure right in the middle of the screen is where the flying floor is located. And that's where they do rollover testing of the vehicles. And as I pull away, I'll turn back towards the north. Nice look at the north end of the crash testing facility, the Wade pit, and that gray temporary office trailer. And of course, the cell testing and recycling lab just in the middle of the screen. I'm going to continue up to the northeast a little more just to take a look at all of the materials, equipment, some of the recycling of the old concrete, and just generally what this area of the site looks like. And I expect to see some big changes here sometime this year as well. So I'm looking forward to be able to find out what is in store for this part of the site. In the bottom right, we still see that large steel cylindrical item next to those two, the bridge cranes, the red and the white. Sorry about that. And still wanting to see when that is moved in for installation as well. Now, as we continue to fly around the north end, looking at the east side, a couple of things that I want to point out. First of all, that west side with all of the dirt, I do expect at some point that will be finally prepared and paved, and that will just help with all of the mud that happens, especially this time of year coming up. In addition to that, in this fenced off material staging location, much of the equipment that had been stored here is no longer here. So that suggests that it has been moved inside the cathode building for assembly, and that is part of the cathode manufacturing processes that this plant is meant for. And to support all of that, of course, the chilling plant is definitely a big part of that process. They've repaired all of the plastic that we saw ripped around off this structure of the last video. And looks like all the fan units are using. And we see some of that condensation coming off the vaporizers in the left upper part of the screen. In addition to that, much more equipment has been delivered here on the north end of the die shop. Also looks like a lot of rebar has been stockpiled here, and as we wrap around the side of the building, we see even more rebar. Now, I have showed you that just inside this building, in fact, as I maneuver the drone a little more, you'll see that large black roll-up door. Inside that area and then to the north, they've been doing a lot of reconfiguration work, excavation, and preparing for a new, pretty heavily reinforced foundation. And I suspect that's what all of that rebar is for. We do see some additional equipment and items, materials on the ground that will be part of that project. So definitely something to keep an eye on as we move further into the year. Now I'm going to maneuver the drone up towards the electrical switchyard. I'll fly over the temporary Tesla offices and show you some of the changes that have happened in the last couple of days. First of all, work continues on this graded section. We see some more of the equipment that has been delivered for the installation of the screw-type piers, some additional earthworking equipment on the right-hand side of the screen, and more of those screw-type piers have been delivered and are stockpiled here waiting for assembly. So you get a good view of those on the right-hand side of the screen, what some of the ones that have been installed down the middle on the graded area, and then some more of the piers waiting for installation on the ground. At the switchyard itself, next to these three control rooms, of course, the one on the right is brand new. We do see some additional work that is going on today. Some of the workers are doing the steel assembly on this south end of the new transformer. We can see some other preparation work for electrical equipment near that vertical steel item that they had just kind of erected. And if you look at the other two bays, this gives you an idea what this will appear like when it is completed. In addition to that, just at the bottom of the screen, it looks like they're doing some core sampling in this area with this blue and white truck. And I'm not sure what they are trying to sample it for. Perhaps there will be some construction in this area in the near future. As I pull away, we see that large control room, the new A-frame structures, and of course the wires that have been connected between the A-frames and getting it ready to be connected up to the grid. And as I pull away even farther, a nice overall view of the electrical switchyard, that new graded area on the south of the switchyard. Of course, the Megapack site on the right-hand side of the screen. And I'm going to fly up over the power lines, bring the drone down lower over the Megapacks. And I want to just show you that there is some activity on the south end of the Megapacks today, specifically with some more of these utility trucks that have been temporarily stored here. We see the trailers on the south bottom of the screen, and more of the spools. Looks like the flexible conduit may be being installed in this area, and then that large concrete junction where we know that the cables come out of the conduit through that area and then back into the ground through the conduit to the northeast side of the factory. As we fly back over Tesla Road and over that casting material and sorting lot, a few things to note here at the 4680 cell portion of the factory. Looks like there's a wooden crate that had been delivered, probably is empty, and they've already taken the equipment on the inside, but we also see the dumpsters full with additional items that would be part of construction or at least assembly of equipment, which is continuing inside. On the roof here, next to the vents and the new ducted fans, wanted to show you the current progress with repairs on the roof membrane. You can see these stripes that go from the left to the right. Crews are working their way along this part to the south to fix some of the seams and the underlying structure of this membrane and repair it to keep it from delaminating and leaking. And once they are done with that, it looks like the bricks are in fact being moved away. So I expect to see that all along this area. So I bring the drone back down to a lower altitude and flying to the south along the 4680 cell portion of the factory. Just past these receiving doors is how this new entryway is looking. And we see the accessibility ramps. We see kind of those triangular areas, which I think will be landscaped. The central staircase is in the way now already with the forms and the concrete poured. And we also get a good idea of what those berms around this area appears like. Now, I think this is a new security entrance for employees when they come to work, but I will continue to monitor to find out if that is in case the truth. As we continue to fly further to the south, one of the things I wanted to check on today was production, since we knew that the production of Model Ys had really tapered off at the end of last year. We can see many of them heading over to the outbound lot just now, more of them stockpiled here, and production is actually at a pretty high clip. I noticed that it was almost a frenzy of activity of drivers getting in the vehicles, driving to the outbound lot, getting into shuttles, being brought right back and getting into a new set of vehicles, and then driving them back over to the outbound lot. So this was for both the Model Ys, as we see here, and the Cybertrucks. And when we get across the highway, we'll get a chance to see more of that activity. Very busy on the north end of the end-of-line facility. We do see many Cybertrucks at this moment in time, more of the Model Ys arriving on the center part of the screen, and you'll see just this long train of Model Ys. In addition to that, we see Cybertruck doing some of the testing on the test track, and more Model Ys as well. We do see a lot of Model Ys on the right-hand side of the screen, and but the upper right, we see the outbound lot is very full today. That's a good mix of both Cybertrucks and the Model Ys. Here's another train of Model Ys just arriving to the facility, and in addition to that, some Cybertrucks and more testing on that track. Now, I was here for a good amount of time doing some preparation for my video after I flew with the drone, and I just continually saw vehicles arriving, going through the end of line, and then moving to the outbound lot with trucks picking them up and leaving the site. So the activity level is definitely much higher, one of the highest that I can recall in a long time. We do see some Cybertrucks starting to stockpile the north end of the outbound lot. And then, as I mentioned, the outbound lot itself is quite busy. We'll fly along here. We'll watch some of the activity and the trucks that are picking up the vehicles and getting ready to move them off site. We can see Model Ys are definitely being picked up and transported off and being stockpiled here. I wanted to find out what was going on with the Model Ys because we are expecting the refresh of the Juniper Model Y very soon. But clearly, especially right here at the bottom of the screen, we see a lot of Model Ys of the current design being manufactured today. More on the upper left, waiting to get over to the superchargers. And then in the superchargers, we see that it is pretty much full, about 75% full of vehicles at this time. The canopies, of course, really stand out and I know provide some of the protection for the vehicles and the workers as they do supercharging. Now we're going to fly along this brand new road, which I also saw a lot of new vehicles driving on today. And we're going to get up next to the Cybertunnel, where we see some exciting new changes. First of all, the workers are adding more of the final stainless steel along the sides. And a lot of people ask what's going to happen with the window line, and I'm very curious to find out as well. But more importantly, as you can see the light on the front of the structure mimicking the daytime running light for the Cybertruck, and it is being tested today. Looks like it actually fluctuates in its illumination, which kind of really makes it stand out. And as I pull away, here's a nice overall view of the tunnel, how it looks today, the electrical box near it, the mounts, which I think are going to be for a sign at the bottom of the center of the screen, and of course the way the entire Cybertruck covering looks today. So they are really working quickly now to try to get this done early in the year. I know they wanted to get it done last year, but looks like it took them a little bit longer than they had thought. Just going to take a quick look at the material staging yard here today. All the equipment that's being installed, or at least prepared for installation, being stored here right now. I do expect to start seeing this equipment moving into the factory sometime in the first quarter of this year, and it'll be something that I watch. In addition to that, this material staging yard that has had a lot of the steel items that you see stored at the bottom of the screen moved in for part of the mezzanines that they're adding inside the building. But in addition to that, these transformers, it looks like there's a couple of cranes nearby. They put a fence around it, and I'm kind of wondering if we're going to start seeing some movement of these items pretty soon. And also, I'll try to figure out where those are going to be installed. So I'm going to continue to fly back towards the main factory. We'll go over the power lines again, a nice view of the West warehouse on wheels and how it looks today. And we're going to stop in and take a look at this new construction site near the South Bridge. And for what I understand is this is an intercept system for potentially sewage. So it is not really a water treatment plant, which I have said before, but it's part of a water sewage treatment portion of the factory. And what that will eventually look like is something I am looking forward to be able to find out and show you as we get further into the year. Now we crossed over the highway. We're going to take a look at the south end of Giga Texas and take a look also at how it is starting to get closer to being finished up. The berms with the 3 escape tunnels and the 3 layers. Looks like that grass seed mixture is getting pretty well established now. It's part of the erosion control. Still don't see the paving on the south end for that roadway, but that should be very soon as we get into next week. As I continue to maneuver here, get back closer towards that cooling plant for the supercomputer cluster. It's a nice view from the top looking down at the 2 fan units that are operational. And it looks like actually another one may be getting ready to turn right in the middle. And at some point next year, as they get more of the system connected and more of the power, we should see all of those fans working at the same time. While we're on the southeast corner, I'll try to mine the power lines on the left-hand side of the screen and get down to this lower altitude where we see crews on the right-hand side of the screen working on some more of the final trim for the glass that has been installed. And I'll continue to maneuver the drone here kind of carefully in this section, give you a view of what the glass looks like right now towards this corner, and a peek around the corner where that asphalt road will eventually be. And now that I'm in a better location, I'll turn back around and just give you a nice overall view of all of the glass, the current situation with the installation, where they still have that parapet wall at the top to finish up, and then that one small section on the east side, which will be filled with glass. And the first indication will be the deliveries of glass for that part of the site. And that should be coming in the next few weeks, I would imagine. So anyway, here's a nice lower on view, a more of expansive view of this south end with those 3 emergency exit tunnels, all that grass seed mixture, the purple pipes for irrigation, flying over the cyber pond, which looks decently full because of some of the recent rains that we've had. And of course, this southwest corner, and with more of the interior being finished up and more of the glass already been installed. Kind of curious to see what this side of the building will be used for, and if we're going to see some additional construction here to prepare it for that purpose. Of course, more of the equipment on the inside of the opening, and I do want to see what that opening will look like once it is completed. There must be some concrete work being done because we see that Martin Marietta concrete truck standing by, and it looks like crews were preparing the lifting jig for the glass for movement. As I mentioned, a lot of Model Ys. You can see another large group heading over to the west side, on the left-hand side of the screen. That never seemed to cease today. It was just every about 5 minutes or so, another large group of Model Ys and Cybertrucks headed that way. We'll stop here at this opening. Again, this is where equipment and vehicles bringing in materials will exit the building. Also, this is the emergency exit for the tunnel in case it is out of operation. And of course, they still have that section of wall that they need to finish up with that textured surface and then have that stained white as well. So as I get ready to finish up the drone flight, I'll bring it up to a higher altitude, get a good, nice view of the entire south end of the factory, plus the rest of the factory, and how it looks on this first flying day of 2025. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Happy New Year, and take care.